What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video, I'm finally bringing you a speaker sight build. I have had comments quite often since the final shape dropped asking for a speaker sight build, and the reason I never made one is because I'm primarily a solo player, especially for my build videos because I focus on solo GMs. So yeah, and I know speaker sight is decent solo, but it's way better in a team setting, as I will get to, for one big reason. It's one fragment. But yeah, so I never really decided to run speaker sight. Truth be told, I've never even equipped the exotic until episode 3 Heresy, and that's because I'm always just doing solo stuff. But also in Heresy, I was wanting to make one of these healer builds because of the nether and the lack of healing. So yeah, now seems like the perfect time because I actually used this build in my my contest mode Sundered Doctrine clear. I had to run it on day 2, which was Saturday, because I was flying back from a friend's wedding on the Friday. So yeah, anyways, my clanmates that I ran it with had actually beat it on Friday, so we knew the mechanics. So I just had to execute. And let me tell you, we had 2 speaker sights through the whole dungeon. And I guess, on the first encounter we didn't use speaker sight, but on the 2 bosses we did use speaker sight, and we never really struggled to survive. I was shocked. Like, I knew this was a powerful build, but even on a contest clear, survivability was like no issue. We actually beat the boss on our first pull, even though I'd never done the boss, because I just was using speaker sight and healing my teammates. And then they were healing me. Like I said, we had 2. And yeah, it's an incredibly powerful build. So I'm going to break the build down, but then I will also break down a couple of the other builds that I use for Sundered Doctrine. You can tell this is unscripted, and that's because last night I did want to get on the game, but there were centipede errors, so I couldn't look over my builds so that I could script it properly. And this is one case where, yeah, the contest mode returns on Saturday, so I want to get this information out to you as soon as possible so you can prep your builds and be ready for Saturday. I will overlay some footage of just my contest mode clear and how good speaker sight is doing. But yeah, anyways, let's break it down. So it's got the armor perk, the Lost Voice, healing grenade, spawn a restorative turret, healing allies occasionally spawns an orb of power. So that restorative turret, it did get nerfed in Heresy where it won't heal people that already have full health, but on contest mode with the amount of ads, you're taking lots of damage, so that nerf doesn't even really affect it, especially on Zoetic lock set. And even in the final boss room, there's enough ads that you're going to take a bit of chip damage. So anyways, this build is excellent. So let me just break it down. Of course, we're on Well of Radiance, and Well of Radiance gives 25% weapon damage bonus, where Radiant got nerfed to 20%, so this will help for boss damage. Then I've got a Healing Rift. So the thing about Healing Rifts is, so Phoenix Dive has a quicker cooldown, and it is nice if you're running around, and you can absolutely run Phoenix Dive, plus it will allow you to proc more Hellions. But Healing Rift with Ember of Benevolence, you can actually go in and out of the rift to keep proccing Benevolence. So that's something I'll get to in a second. Then we have Burst Glide. You can run what you want. I actually do run... You can run, again, either here. If you're on Zoetic lock set, you actually want Celestial Fire, so you can throw out your melee at ranged ads and proc Radiant for your team. Incinerator Snap was for the final boss. Then, of course, you need Healing Grenades, so you can make those restorative turrets. Touch of Flame, this buffs your Healing Grenade to give you Resto ×2, which is much stronger than Resto ×1, and you get Cure ×2. So very, very good. And then, like I said, Hellion. So this is just going to add some chip damage and Scorch and Ignition damage. Every time you pop a rift, you're going to get a Hellion, and you'll be popping a ton of rifts because of the most important fragment that we have, Ember of Benevolence. Applying Restoration, Cure, or Radiant to allies grants increased grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration for a short duration. So I'm looking at the Destiny Data Compendium, and it says, yeah, it works with Well of Radiance and stuff, but the important thing is applying Cure, Radiant, Restoration, Healing, or reviving allies grants 400% additional base grenade, melee, and class ability regen for 6 seconds. So that is, seriously, the amount of abilities you're able to spam. I have 80 on recovery, 100 discipline, which you want for as many healing grenades as possible. And then it would be nice to get my strength higher, but I'll show you why that doesn't really matter too much either. So we have Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. So this is also going to proc Ember of Benevolence, and we're going to be getting a ton of melees thanks to Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. And how we scorch them is with Hellion. So you put down a rift, that's going to be getting you tons of Ember of Benevolence because you're healing your allies. That's going to give you Hellion. Then you apply Scorch with Ember of Searing, which is granting you melee energy. And keep in mind, both these are giving me minus 10 discipline, but it's well worth it. But yeah, otherwise my stats would be better. And then the last one, your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets with Ember of Singeing. So Hellion just cranks this build up so well because it's applying Scorch, and then that's giving you Singeing and Searing. So you can just keep chucking out your melees, and then procking Ember of Benevolence to chuck out your grenades, and it's just a crazy loop. And then we have, this is what's really nice, we now have a support frame auto rifle in the top slot. So the perks don't overly matter, but this is a really nice roll. I've got reciprocity, there we go. When healing projectiles from this weapon strike allies, you also receive a small amount of healing. So this is going to help heal you, even though you're pretty much always getting healed by your turret from throwing out your grenade. And then Tear, precision final blows cause nearby targets to become severed. So this is going to make the enemies deal less damage if you get precision kills. And then yeah, you can just keep healing your teammates, or you can run one with attrition orbs. I haven't tested this, but I have heard as you're healing your allies, that will also make orbs of power from attrition orbs. So that's really good. You can make orbs for your team. So hip firing at allies while this weapon is charged heals them with rapid healing, increasing allies' weapon damage, and spawning unraveling projectiles. So this will unravel, where you also have no hesitation, flexible and agile, blah blah blah. Hip firing at allies with this weapon while this weapon is charged, heals them with rapid increasing weapon damage and bestowing restoration to your allies. So this one is a little bit better for like survivability because of the restoration, but you want to be running this one for reasons I'll get into in a second. So then we have Edge of Intent. Basically, it's a glaive, and glaives are great for survivability. And then you're able to make another turret with your Edge of Intent. I'm not saying to run this in the dungeon. I'm just pointing out good options you can use. And then the last option you could use is Lumina, which will buff your allies by 35% for their damage with the noble rounds. And this is just a really strong weapon. And it applies healing when you shoot the noble rounds at them. And then, yeah, it gives them a 35% damage buff. So you could also run Lumina. So that's basically it for the build. Obviously, I have Heavy Ammo Scout and Heavy Ammo Finder on with Strand Siphon because I am running it like this. And I'm actually running Div, which I'll get to in a second. So yeah, you want Heavy Ammo Scout. Again, this build is all about support. So Heavy Ammo Finder. The other thing is if you enhance this weapon, then you can put this Heavy Ammo Finder enhancement on. So that's just going to help you make even more bricks. So that's what I would recommend. And then yeah, every time you get a Finder brick, your allies are getting a Heavy Ammo brick because of Scout. And then Strand Siphon is just going to allow you to make orbs, obviously. Then we have, let's see, grants class. So you're not actually causing damage with a grenade. So I wouldn't actually run this. What I would run is, where is it? Grants class ability when you cause powered melee attack. And where's the other one? Causing damage with a powered melee reduces your grenade cooldown. So that's what you want to run there, is impact induction and focusing strike, because the healing grenade doesn't actually deal damage, right? So then you could just run a second one of those if you want. Then I just had resistances on because, like I said, the key was survivability, and then innervation, invigoration, and absolution. So every time I was picking up an orb, I'm reducing all my ability cooldowns further, which allows me to spam more abilities. And then just bomber, outreach, and distribution. So even more abilities when I'm using my class ability. Honest to God, and I even had the wrong armor mods on my arms, and I was able to spam abilities like crazy. So I'm actually just going to overwrite this so that it's the proper one, because I'll put a dim link in the description. But yeah, like I said, this is pretty much the exact setup you want. It's incredible. So that's pretty much it for the build breakdown. I'm not going to go into artifact perks because I haven't even really looked over the artifact perks much at all this season, and none really apply to solar anyways. But trust me, this build was really, really good on day one. Well of Radiance is awesome, obviously. So then we have a couple more loadouts to show. Where is my Cenotaph? So this was my Zoetic lock set, which is honestly the like the stop on contest mode. Like I said, we beat the final boss on our first try, but Zoetic lock set honestly took us a couple hours, and a big reason is because of that crit damage bug. And surges don't work on this boss, but I'm still going to recommend things just in case they happen to get it fixed before Saturday, before the return of contest. So hopefully this helps you guys, especially you ones that were affected by the PlayStation outages, get the clear. So I was running Cenotaph Mask, which again is a very support-based build. Basically, steadily reloads your trace rifles, yeah, that's nice, but then damaging a vehicle, boss, or champion with a trace rifle marks them as a target, and when the allies defeat the marked target, special ammo drops for me, and heavy ammo for them. So then I had paired it with a trace rifle, a slice trace rifle, again to spread sever so they could survive better, and then I had Omniscient Eye and Sleeper Simulant. So again, and then all solar reserves, because yeah, it's quite a damage check, and ammo is like the toughest thing to come by. I also had special finisher, so if I got low, boom, I just make special. So yeah, this is another really big support one. Solar and Strand Scavenger for both my special weapons and my heavy. Like I said, solar reserve, solar loader, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But then for damage, I would swap to Sanguine Alchemy. So here's the problem, is Sanguine is incredibly strong. While standing in any rift, damaging a target will mark it. You deal extra damage to marked targets and gain additional bonus damage with weapons that have a damage type matching your equipped super. Weapon final blows while standing in any rift. Pause the rift's cooldown, extending its duration. So, again, Celestial Fire, Healing Rift, and all the same ones. So you could swap right off your Cenotaph or Speaker Sight right into Sanguine for damage. And what's nice about that, so on Zoetic lock set, I actually only ran Cenotaph. The Speaker Sight was more for the final boss. But yeah, so like I said, Sanguine Alchemy and Solar Surges, or sorry, any weapon surges are bugged right now on that boss. But this is still good to run because yeah, you could just swap off your Cenotaph to Sanguine and you don't even have to worry about stacking your armor charge, so you can just use your special finisher at will, because Sanguine Alchemy will give you that armor charge for the whole duration of your well, which is 30 seconds. I know it's not the whole damage phase, but still, it helps. And then hopefully you can just find like 1 or 2 orbs from your teammates during damage, and then you're still able to keep your weapon surges up. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Those are like the support setups that I used on day one. Like I said, this was the Cenotaph setup, but in the final boss room where survivability is the hardest part, just run this. And then, yeah, I had a machine gun, so I was just doing ad clear basically, because when it came time to deal damage, I had div. And again, for my div loadout, I don't know if I have it saved. Yeah, I would just swap to Sanguine again so that it's refilling your trace rifle so that you can keep it on the boss the whole time. And I had triple arc surge just to help my teammates out. So yeah, basically just run around with Speaker Sight in the boss room when you're leading up to damage, when it's burning the lies away. You just put down your well, swap over to Cenotaph, and just hold down div. So again, just a fully support build. And like I said, it was really fun. I play this game solo so much, but it was really fun to be the support player for once. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I was amazed at how strong this build was. So I hope this video helps you get your day one Sundered Doctrine, sorry, your contest Sundered Doctrine clear. If it does, let me know in the comments, because that would be really cool if it helped. Like I said, I'll link the Speaker Sight. Actually, let me just pen over the, so you can just kind of copy the build. I'll probably still link the Speaker Sight because that's like what the main point of the video was. But like I said, I will still I'll still show these so you can see everything that I used. So yeah, on the DPS one, you want targeting, you want loader mods, obviously. and then the speaker sight one. And yeah, like I said, it's not a very tough damage check, so just focusing on survivability as you're running around. I never really even came close to dying. The only time I did is after damage one time. I forgot to swap from my cenotaph to my speaker sight, and it was very noticeable that I wasn't getting that constant healing. And I was like, what the hell? I felt like invincible before. And then I looked and I was like, oh, I don't have my speaker sight build on. So I was still surviving with the cenotaph, but it was like a lot more sketchy. And I was like, what is going on? And then I realized I hadn't loadout swapped. So after DPS, just make sure you always swap back to speaker sight. But yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed making this support build. I hope you found it helpful and informative. And if you did, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Hey, if you're still here, then thanks so much for watching to the end. If you like what I do and you want to support me further, then consider becoming a channel member. You'll get your name featured on the end screen, custom badges, and other cool rewards. You can also join my community Discord if that interests you, and if you want to see me stream, be sure to follow me on Twitch at itstizzle7 where I stream semi-regularly. Those are linked in the description. Anyways, that's enough self-promotion. Thanks for watching. Take care.